Hi, ma'am. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks. So, today we have Module 14, Adjectives, and we're doing adjective phrases and present participles. So, this is a little bit of a more advanced lesson about adjectives. We've talked about some other adjectives recently. This gets a little bit more complex, but I think um, we'll make it easy and try to make sure that you understand everything. So, to begin, we'll talk about an adjective phrase. So an adjective phrase is just a group of words that acts as an adjective. Can you read the sample sentence here?
The car in our driveway belongs to our neighbor.
Good. So in our driveway is the adjective phrase. What noun is it modifying?
Uh, in our driveway,
Yeah. So this is modifying a noun. So it's describing a noun. Which noun is it describing?
car.
Correct. So that's what an adjective phrase is. I mean, so it sounds complicated, but really it's just a group of words that acts like an adjective. Next, we have an adjective clause. So an adjective clause is just like an adjective phrase, except it contains a subject and a verb, and it starts with one of these relative pronouns, who, whom, whose, that or which, or a relative adverb, when, where, or why. So the adjective clause will function as an adjective and answering the questions, what kind, how many, or which one. So let's see how these, again, all of these rules, when you're reading them, sound confusing, but if you see how they're used, I think it's easier to understand. So let's read this sentence here, please.
My sister, who is much younger than I am, is a nurse.
Okay, so the adjective clause is who is much younger than I am. What noun does it modify?
Sister.
Correct. And yeah, so that's, so it starts with this relative pronoun, and there it is. So notice that for this, we sort of block it out with commas. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but we do that because this can come out of that sentence without changing the meaning. So I could just say, my sister is a nurse, but I'm just adding some extra information there, and so that's why we put it between two commas. Next, can you read this one?
The house that I grew up in was very small.
Okay, and so the adjective clause here is that I grew up in. What is it modifying or describing?
Modify house.
Good. Okay, next. This is not for speaking, but for your writing, this is important. You'll need to decide if the clause is essential or non-essential. If an adjective clause is non-essential, you surround it with commas on both sides. And here are some examples. So can you read these?
Okay. Jerry, who is younger than me, is going to Spain next week.
So let's pause right there. So I can take out who is younger than me, and the sentence still means the same. So I can say, Jerry is going to Spain next week. So, so that's one way to tell that this is a non-essential clause. Let's read the next one.
My boss, who is going to Japan next week, wants me to finish the project by Friday.
Good. And the last one?
Fish curry, which is too spicy for many people, is one of the most popular dishes in Thailand.
Good. So again, all of these non-essential adjective clauses, you can take them out of those sentences and the meaning is the same. So again, this one starts with my boss. I can just say, my boss wants me to finish the project by Friday. So the who is going to Japan next week is not essential for the meaning of the sentence. Now let's look at some essential clauses. So with the essential, we don't set it aside with commas. because it's important to the meaning of the sentence. So let's, I guess the best example here is this one here with the foods. So can you read this one?
Foods that are high in protein are good for weightlifters.
Good. So what is the adjective clause in this sentence?
High in protein.
That's right. So that are high in protein. That's the adjective clause. Now, read the sentence if we take that out.
Foods are good for weightlifters.
Good. So as you can see, that changes the meaning. So like candy and cake and ice cream, those foods are not good for weightlifters. So this phrase is essential for the meaning of the sentence. So I cannot just take that out without changing, without changing the meaning of the sentence.
Okay.
Lastly, it's important to remember that the adjective clause should follow the noun or come after the noun that it is modifying. So, for example, we can't say foods are good for weightlifters that are high in protein. So why not? Why is this? So here's that are high in protein. Why can't we put this at the end of the sentence?
Let me read. Foods are good for weightlifters that are high in protein. I don't know. I don't know how to explain. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense because this is describing the weightlifters now. So now it means the weightlifters are high in protein, not the foods. So, so if I move this to the end, the meaning of this sentence is, again, foods are good for weightlifters that are high, and the weightlifters are the ones that are high in protein. So that's a little bit
Okay.
silly. So yeah, so the adjective clause must follow the noun. Okay, next, this is something that even my advanced students often make mistakes with, and these are adjectives with the present participle. And participles, these are adjectives that end in ed or ing. And here are the rules. So I guess generally the ed ending means that something is making you feel a certain way. And the ing means that the noun is acting on everyone else. So for example, if somebody says, here's the funny example that I hear with children sometimes. If they say, oh, I am so boring in math class. That's funny because that means that they're making everyone else bored. So really they should say, I am bored in math class.